This evening, President chooses Colonel as coordinator of national events. Technical advisor to the Minister of Public Infrastructure, Mr. Walter Willis, has died. One command center will be established to deal with emergency calls. CCPA continues damage control in wake of tragedy. In the region, Echo for Music Rights clamps down on the sale of counterfeit discs and DVDs. And internationally, Bernie Sanders finally endorses Hillary Clinton.
From Safetv headquarters in South Ramble Gardens, this is Safetv Headline News with Rihanna Hammond.
Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel, as well as our website, safetvghana.com. Join us. President David Granger appoints Colonel Hussein as coordinator for the Department of National Events within the Ministry of the Presidency. Andrew Weeks reports that President Granger said it's important to have a high level of coordination and someone who will deal with functions for national and international events to come.
President David Granger explains more on why he chose Colonel Hussein to head the department in the Ministry of the Presidency.
The administration has very important international and national events. We want to make sure they're all performed at a very high standard, and there has to be a high level of coordination as well. Many of these events involve the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Education, which has responsibility for culture, youth and sport, the Ministry of the Presidency, Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the Ministry of Communities. So you need somebody who can coordinate the work of the various ministries in ensuring that these public events are done at the highest possible level.
President Granger said in the short term, it was the Ghana Defense Force who decided to provide a senior officer to coordinate the work of the Department of National Events. He explains more of his perspectives on the importance of public events.
Public events are important for our political culture, for our national identity, who we are. And my expectations are that Guyanese must feel proud of their national symbols, their monuments, their national festivals.
The Department of National Events, especially knowing what transpired at the 50th anniversary flag-raising ceremony between the members of the opposition and the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport.
He would like us to do things with a better flair, the watchword being excellence. So this department was established in order to standardize all our national activities, to coordinate and to execute all national activities with the watchword excellence in mind.
Colonel Hussein also spoke more on what his responsibilities will be as coordinator of the Department of National Events within the Ministry of the Presidency.
We'll ensuring that we have a diary of events that reflects all the national activities and observances, and to plan and execute some of the traditional and some new ones that we will be working on, and to ensure that we have a manual of standards that we can refer to ensure that there's no deviation from the standard of excellence that we're going to try to establish here.
Rihanna, Colonel Hussein will be eagerly engaging staff members to work along with him in the Department of National Events. President Granger assures Guyanese that they will be very proud of future national events because they will be better organized. Rihanna, back to you.
Thanks, Andrew. Following earlier confusion, it has been confirmed that veteran engineer and technical advisor to the Minister of Public Infrastructure, Mr. Walter Willis, has died. St. Joseph's Mercy Hospital confirmed his death on Monday evening. Kingsley Bryan provides the details in this report.
Ghana has lost another son of the soil as Mr. Walter Willis succumbed last evening. This was confirmed by St. Joseph's Mercy Hospital, where Willis was a patient. Willis worked with the ministry for the last 17 years and served 3 ministers of the previous administration. At the time of his death, he was performing the same function for Minister David Patterson.
Obviously, we're saddened by the death of Walter. Obviously, he's a long-standing member of the ministry. Been here for over 17 years.
Yeah.
Our condolences goes out to his wife and children. And of course, the ministry will be doing everything that we can to assist him during this period.
That was Minister David Patterson doing an invited comment from Headline News on Willis's passing. Willis also served as chairman of the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, project manager of the Solid Waste Management Program, and project engineer for the Caribbean Development Bank, Third Road Project, Rhinebeck to Providence. He played a major role in the construction of the Providence Stadium and was also involved deeply in the Amila project. News spread of Willis's death on Monday after the Ministry of Public Infrastructure released a statement indicating such. However, it was confirmed that Willis was comatose but still alive. The hospital in its statement said Mr. Willis's condition deteriorated and he was treated for multi-organ dysfunction. The hospital promised an investigation to ensure that all clinical guidelines were adhered to in keeping with standard operating procedures. They also sought to assure that protocols were followed on his admission. There was a report that Willis was administered insulin, even though he was not diabetic. He was admitted to the hospital on Saturday, July 9, and complained of stomach pain. Willis, who was 66 years at the time of his death, would have been celebrating his 67th sometime this month. It was only on Friday last that Willis led a team on a site visit of the Chedijagan International Airport Expansion Project, and he appeared well. Rihanna?
Thanks, Kingsley. A few nights ago, fire erupted at the Children's Drop-In Center on Hatfield Street, killing 2 young boys who had just been there for 2 days. 4-year-old Antonio George and his brother, 6-year-old Joshua George, were burnt alive in the government facility.
Says this is really truly a tragedy. It's nothing that anyone could predict, and it is painful for the staff, the agency. It's painful to see the mother lost her children.
That was Stacey Fraser, Deputy Director of the Child Care and Protection Agency. She told reporters during an interview that at present, the 3 siblings of the boys who died, along with 26 other occupants of the center, have been relocated to the Sophia Care Center.
All the children were given counseling for the trauma, but these children were given grief counseling.
Fraser said that the agency, and by extension the Guyana government, is still awaiting a final report from the fire service. So far, it is believed to have been electrical in origin. The deputy said that while fire prevention and safety equipment were on hand, fire drills for the children is something that can be improved on.
Drop-in center is a center where fresh children keep coming in. So it's a revolving door of children. So someone who would have been there may not have called the fire drill from before. So it's definitely something to assess how regular fire drills are done, considering that fresh children are coming in all the time.
Fraser reminded of the agency's mandate, noting that it is working to reintegrate the children into a more stable living environment.
Our position is getting these children back with their family. That has always been our objective.
Coming up on Headline News after the break, Emergency Command Center to be established soon for prompt responses. And the BP Civic are not satisfied with the outcome of the recently concluded Caricom Summit.
Everybody knows John Lewis Styles as the Levi's and Dockers store. But did you know we're also an authorized dealer for Nautica, Perry Ellis, US Polo, Natural Issue, Joffrey Bean, and many others. We also carry the Bruno and Drill brands, who are actually the makers of Express shirts, at half the price of Express. So the next time you think of men's clothing, shoes, and accessories, there's only one choice. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
With a distinctive flavor, Umda Palka ghee is made from 100% pure vegetable oil. This Palka ghee is a delight when preparing sweetmeats and other dishes for healthy cooking with a rich buttery taste and aroma. It is used for religious purposes and is a principal fuel for burning. Umda Palka ghee is light, pure, with a real ghee texture.
Only at Kissoon's can you get the guaranteed offer of up to 50% discount on every item in their blowout factory surplus sale. 50% off for Guyana's 50th anniversary right through the year. Check it out at their spacious factory outlet at Reinfeldt Industrial Park, where parking is no problem. They're in the mood to celebrate at Kissoon's. Once you want it, Kissoon's will make sure you don't leave without it.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's for dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
One central command center is expected to be established to deal with emergency calls being placed to the police and fire service. This was disclosed by Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan, who shared this information with Gina. Kingsley Bryan reports.
Given the government's rollout of a plan to boost the emergency medical services of the country, Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan said that one command center would be beneficial. He also outlined that the ministry was in talks with a major telecommunication company to realize this idea. Minister Ramjatan explained that the center would handle calls for both the police and fire services.
We will need a compound, and we'll have to set up a building for purposes of the command center, in which calls for the police will come in and then redirected to the police all over the country. Also for rescue, fire and rescue, that also can come in, and we can have one command center rather than a variety.
Minister Ramjatan was at the time speaking at the graduation ceremony for the emergency medical services personnel from the recently established program. The new system falls under the Smart City project, which is presently under review. Meanwhile, Fire Chief Marlon Gentle stated that the department was ready for the rollout of the EMS program come September.
Of course, we'll be doing some PR and so on, so that persons will be so notified that the 912 numbers could be used both for fire and medical emergency.
The idea behind the EMS program, as announced by Minister Arman, was to ensure that the response time to emergencies were drastically improved. The fire service, in collaboration with the Ministry of Public Health, recently trained some 29 persons as EMS representatives. Rihanna, back to you.
Thanks, Kingsley. The People's Progressive Party Civic is not satisfied with the outcome of the recently concluded 37th regular meeting of heads of government of the Caribbean Community, Caricom. This is according to General Secretary of the party, Clement Rohi, who made special reference to the Caricom Crime and Security Strategy, which is slated for February 2017 implementation.
The party recalls that the first Caricom Crime and Security Strategy was adopted by heads at their 24th meeting held in the Republic of Haiti in February of 2013.
The former Home Affairs Minister believes that, save for its application in Guyana, the strategy was left to languish in the region as a whole. Rohi wants this to be picked up on and called on the government to engage Guyana's parliament in this regard.
The PPP calls on the Granger administration to immediately activate the Parliamentary Oversight Committee on the Security Sector and to place before that Oversight Committee the 2013 Strategy for Bipartisan Consideration and Revision, and to vest in the said oversight body with the responsibility to formulate a national security plan to dovetail with the revised Caricom Crime and Security Strategy.
The PPP also wants the David Granger-led government to place before the Parliamentary Committee the draft Caricom Arrest Treaty for bipartisan consideration.
The said treaty had been languishing for several years and was to be settled since 2008.
Following the 37th regular meeting of Caricom heads of government, member states have all agreed to settle the treaty before the end of 2016. City Hall's Statutory Council meeting was in uproar yesterday because of a proposal which was submitted by the Engineers Department containing many irregularities. This proposal detailed an architectural analysis for the reconstruction of the abattoir. In addition, commercial businesses will be required to pay more for their garbage disposal. Andrew Weeks reports.
Commercial businesses in the city are found guilty of harboring the most garbage in the city. Furthermore, Mayor Chase Green told councillors yesterday that rates have to increase.
We have garbage collection being picked up from commercial building at the same year. You and I paying the same $5,000 a year in our taxes. The business people are saying paying the same price for their garbage collection. They're not paying a commercial rate. The industrial buildings are paying the same rate. They're not paying industrial cost for removal. And we have got to think about the city and not the slum yard.
Mayor Green said that when the financial committee met, the costs could be determined. However, the city cannot be managed when big businesses are not paying their fair share where garbage collections are concerned.
Where if you go down Regent Street, walk one morning at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, when the stores are opening, where they throw all their sweepings, they sweep everything out of the store into the drains, all that sand, and it's building right up. It is our responsibility to clear it. And what are we getting? The regular taxes that they pay per year. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. And so while I understand you being sympathetic, I, as chairman, would ask you to look at the other side where we have to provide the services and we do not have the money.
Meanwhile, the engineering department got the hammer from the mayor when they brought a proposal for the reconstruction of the abattoir. During the deliberation, the committee decided that the same company should provide contractual works for the abattoir. It was the town clerk who put it on the agenda yesterday, but Mayor Chase Green would not have none of that.
Carry out the analysis.
Sir, I had enough for the party meetup. By his present councillors, with no disrespect, they can't bring this to me and expect me to sit and say, if you have a proposal from any company, it was passed through by full advertisement if you want to have an analysis done for the abattoir. And if we're looking at the abattoir, we must go back to all the analysis that was done by the previous council for the abattoir and all works to be done. Yes. Meaning by then and now they should have some improvements, because I heard the doctor in our discussions asked for a water treatment plant to be added to the abattoir. I have no objection. But let me tell you something, nobody catching me with no traps.
I understand that, madam.
Mayor Chase Green said the proposal was a double standard because the committee could not ask the company to do an analysis and then propose that the same company do contractual works for the abattoir. Chase Green deferred the proposal and asked for the presentation of to reflect other two companies who had submitted their proposal to be added to the list for the Council's review and decision. Rihanna, back to you.
Thanks, Andrew. Still ahead, our regional and international news.
Women's fashion trends change every day. That's why John Lewis Styles makes it their duty to source items directly from the manufacturing brand, offering you more choices and better prices. Women love to look great, whether it's for work or play. From clothing, shoes, accessories, to handbags, watches, fragrances. Let's make you feel like the only girl in the world. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
With a distinctive flavor, palki ghee is made from 100% pure vegetable oil. This palki ghee is a delight when preparing sweetmeats and other dishes for healthy cooking with a rich buttery taste and aroma. It is used for religious purposes and is a principal fuel for burning. Palki ghee is light, pure, with a real ghee texture.
Don't let this moment in history pass you by. Kissoons want every Guyanese home to showcase a new piece of furniture to remember this glorious event of our Jubilee celebration. Kissoons have gone crazy. Every item is on sale right through this year in the Big Broad Factory Surplus Sale, up to 50% off for the 50th birthday at Kissoons.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
In news from the region now. The Eastern Caribbean Collective Organization for Music Rights, ECHO, is working with the Registry of Companies and Intellectual Property to clamp down on the sale of counterfeit compact discs and DVDs. The partners say this is all in an effort to protect the rights of writers, producers, and artists. News Force reports.
ECHO and the Registry of Companies and Intellectual Property are focusing on an area which poses significant challenges to them, that of the enforcement of intellectual property rights. The pair is zeroing in on sellers of counterfeit CDs and DVDs, often referred to as bootleg products. ECHO General Manager Steve Etienne says the fact is piracy is a serious problem across the Caribbean.
The police, customs, the law enforcement agencies, for them it has always been a grey area, how to process, how to deal with this thing called intellectual property, called IP rights, patent trademarks, and so on and so forth. So we understood for some time now the World Intellectual Property Organization, who St. Lucia is part of via the United Nations, are the body who are tasked with establishing laws, establishing framework for the enforcement of intellectual property rights.
ECHO, with the assistance of the World Intellectual Property Organization, is this week bringing together those at the heart of law enforcement to explore avenues of clamping down on intellectual property rights violations. They include lawyers, magistrates, police and customs officers. Registrar of Companies and Intellectual Property Desma Charles says the training comes at a time of increased piracy of a range of works that include texts, music and productions.
We walk the streets and we see DVDs and CDs are being sold, and the right holders, the owners of those works, are not adequately compensated for their hard work and their efforts. I think the most important thing is building an awareness among law enforcement officials and members of the judiciary. It is important to provide the necessary training to those persons so that they are knowledgeable and they are skilled in terms of going out there and prosecuting intellectual property infringements and violation of intellectual property rights.
The partners say the laws exist, but enforcement is lacking. The ECHO manager says he will continue to ensure that time and resources are dedicated to fighting piracy, but the support of law enforcement and the judiciary is needed to make a dent in the illegal sales. He says piracy robs hard-working singers, producers, writers and artists of much-needed revenue, and is calling on the public to help the organization as it tries to ensure that members are compensated for their work.
And internationally, Senator Bernie Sanders has endorsed presumptive Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton at a rally in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. CNN has more.
Secretary Clinton has won the Democratic nominating process, and I congratulate her for that. She will be the Democratic nominee for president, and I intend to do everything I can to make certain she will be the next president of the United States. I have come here to make it as clear as possible as to why I am endorsing Hillary Clinton and why she must become our next president. This campaign is not really about Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders or any other candidate who sought the presidency. This campaign is about the needs of the American people and addressing the very serious crises that we face. And there is no doubt in my mind that as we head into November, Hillary Clinton is far and away the best candidate to do that.
And that's Safetv 2 headline news for this Tuesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Safetv 2 headline news on Facebook, YouTube, and safetvghana.com. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast, and on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm Rihanna Ahmed signing out from this newscast. You have a blessed evening.